but this newspaper had a feature article on what they call Disney adults that many people might have heard about before. Um,
Yeah, I wonder why people hate them. Such a fucking.
and this is a phenomenon of mostly 30, 40 plus uh, age people, very often childless in the Americas, who find themselves drawn to Disneyland. Now, I mean, it's one thing if you have your kids and you enjoy going with your kids, but this is specifically usually people who don't have children and enjoy being quote unquote Disney adults. Um, Someone like Shelley Grace Gonzalez of age 54, she and her husband Ed, 49, go to Disneyland at least a couple of times a month. Um, and is this a picture of them? Yes, this is Ed and Shelley Gonzalez, proud Disney adults. Um, Another case of the Urban Dictionary, Luddick. This is new. I haven't seen them do this before. I thought they were better than this. Might have to cancel my subscription. All right.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
if you're
described.
using Urban Dictionary, just don't use anything. Just say you made it up yourself or you heard it on the internet somewhere. You can't use this
Exactly.
as a source, right? This it just doesn't work.
It's actually more based to say I made it up. So anyway. It defines it as adults with an intense and extreme love for Disney films, theme parks, characters, and merchandise. Um, let's see here. This is just some people who are at Disney. I guess this is just people who. No, this is fans. Is this actually like people? There were many queers at D23. What? Wait, hang on a minute. I'm forgetting some part of this article. Um,
What is this?
Adult Disney fans have become favorite target for digital ridicule. Sorry. What is D23? D23. I can't find any reference to this. Ah, here it is. It's the official fan club of Disney. It's because the D for Disney in the year 1923. Oh, okay. So I guess they have a meetup where people dress as Disney characters. So this is like Weebs, but for Disney, and they're all like 40 plus people with no children. Yes. Oh, that is so weird. Like people who get engaged and have like Disney marriages. Emery and James Sakamoto share the news that they're expecting a child. Can I get a physiognomy check on aisle 10 here? On these people. All right.
So the examples here seem to be a lot of middle class people, but they're not like strictly white Anglos, right? It seems to
I
be
was going to
some,
say that they're strictly that this seemed to be a very middle class, lack of bullying phenomenon. It is very strange, and there's something just I can't put my finger on it, but there's just something off about it, right? Are we all in agreement here?
Yeah, it is really weird. But I mean, one of my takes on it is that the people who were watching the actual Disney Renaissance movies, the kind of good ones that we saw in the 90s, they're now like this age, right? I don't imagine like Zoomers doing this shit because the Disney movies they've been exposed to have just been total crap, right? There's nothing to attach oneself to there. So I mean, it's you have a lot of this arrested development in the culture with the internet. I think especially where stuff like this just won't die. In the past you would just watch television, you'd see a Disney or maybe rent a VHS or something, and you'd forget about it later, and that wouldn't be your identity. But because of the internet and like they're able to perpetually create these shows that just go on forever. They organize themselves into these clubs and so on. I think that's part of the reason why you're seeing this stuff. So, I mean, they have the same kind of hateable characteristics of the people who refuse to grow up, which is quite common. But if there's anything redeeming, I think most of the people here, their cosplays is quite good actually, and they're relatively skinny. If you go back and look at some of the photos, because if you've seen some of these anime expos and the people who show up there, like holy shit, you have like people like 300 and 400 pounds to try to do cosplay, and like these people are
Yeah,
they
that's
look
fair
like they're
enough.
relatively healthy and in good shape, and like you said, they have disposable income, right? So
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this a bit earlier, in our private chats earlier in the week, and I suppose my conclusion from your views here is that if you're like a middle class, childless, double income, 40 plus couple, I mean, it's this or like weird sex stuff, right?
Well, you could, become a couple that invents gets Nobel laureates like
Yeah,
Curry.
that's yeah. But how many of these guys do you think are going to end up
Yeah, but I just want to ask the whole panel:
Puree themselves into
Westaboos or Weeaboos?
yes?
Mm.
Nord
I would-
Huger says, "Oh, sorry.
No,
Go ahead.
Okay.
This is a bit of
I just want
this is a
to.
bit of an offshoot, so go ahead.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why I hate and despise and loathe the middle class. Worst people ever.
Well, yeah, I mean, we might get into this a bit later when we talk about women and sort of their role, but it certainly highlights the fact that the middle class does feel a bit, in a historical context, feels a bit manufactured out of thin air.
Yeah, it shouldn't exist.
Now, Nordhuger says, he asks actually in Norwegian, but he's asking how Christianity is among Norwegian women today. I assume that's, are there a lot of Christian Norwegian women slash, are they available? I'm gonna say from where I live, which is pretty much the Bible Belt, there are a lot of Christian women, and not a lot of good-looking guys. So if you find yourself here and you want a good Christian woman, just become a Christian here, and you'll most likely find a beautiful woman.
I think that's actually quite good advice. I mean, Christianity is not fashionable, but I think it is sort of more appealing for women to do more of this active Christian lifestyle, especially in Norway. At least that's my impression. But maybe Othelia has an opinion on it.
Not really. I'm sorry to say that I'm a heathen, so I can't really answer.
Yeah, I
don't have
gathered from
any
your tweets
Christian-
that you lean a
Yeah.
bit more Pinewood Thulian.
Maybe a little bit.
Do you know a lot of
Um,
Christian women?
I'm not Christian, and I don't know any Christian women. I might know one. I think she was Christian, but she's married and had children like a long time ago. But I'm also from the east in Norway, capital area. So this is not the place to be if you want a Christian woman. You would be more advised to go to the west coast.
It's very well put. But yeah, I agree with the walrus there. I mean, if you want like a decent looking Christian woman, I think there's a surplus here. So yeah, go for it if you have the chance.
Yeah. Or of course, I mean, if you lean pagan, you're going to have to find yourself a based neo-pagan GF somehow. I think unless we have anything we want to say about the Disney adults, I just thought it was a fun article.
One of the things that I reacted to in this article, I guess, if you go to the header where they're talking about capitalism, I found it a little bit interesting, in terms of, I mean, you could say that these people are hateable, but are they like more hateable than furries or anything else? And yeah, there the header says capitalism, racism, and moralization, and the author of this article is like kind of trying to resurrect some of like a leftist residue from the 1990s here, talking about how Walt Disney is like, it's a big corporation and it's capitalism, and capitalism is bad, and when you give money to big corporations, that's like really bad and stuff, so you should give it to environmental causes
Hang on.
and Africa and stuff. But
The link here in this sort of paragraph and a half here is that you can link it to like the Karen, which is a white, spoiled, demanding, and often racist American caricature. So it's a phenomenon that these people are usually white or like white passing, as the lefts would say, that sort of forms the criticism here. Is that it?
Yeah, that's part of that's what they ask the question why these people are hateable, right? I mean, for us it's really simple that the fact that these are like they're not real adults, they're engaging in this kind of trivial child pastimes. But from the perspective of these like lib shit journalists, why is this something you should hate? If you're a progressive, why should you hate adults doing Disney stuff, right? And I assume that for this subreddit, we hate the worst people on earth, where they talk about how bad Disney adults are. Most of these redditors are not like based people. They are going to be some kind of like lefty, progressive, some or another, right? So they have to have some post hoc rationalization for why they hate them. And I think part of that is really the fact that they have money, right? They have money and they use money. And Disney is like a big corporation or whatever. So that's bad because corporations are bad, I guess.
Suppose, yeah. You can see the thought process, definitely.